What's goody? What's good, everyone? How are you feeling tonight on this wonderful, wonderful Tuesday nights, right? We had just wrapped up an amazing, amazing conference here in Dallas. Shout out to everyone that's here on tonight's live stream, right? Of course, it is yours truly, Anthony Leno, and this is oops, another session of live crypto analysis. So let me go ahead and take this out of the way real quick, and so you guys can see my screen. Give me 1 second. Cool. So now you guys can see my screen. Give me 1 second. Cool. So let me go ahead and take this out the way, make it this nice and more clear. Take this out the way. Out of the way. Cool. Clean up my chart up. What's good, everybody? I see you guys inside the chat. Right now, I'm just clearing out some of the windows out of the way before we get started. So, now I'm ready. So, when it comes to BTC and everything that I've kind of been looking at, we're still on a pretty much steady decline. Overall, I know I've been pretty much bearish in here. I did send out ideal out on Sunday during the Super Bowl. Actually playing back into that idea, it took me out at break even. It did run like 600 pips in profit before going back and break even. And the trade actually went my way. Like it is one of those rare occasions where, my trades it actually, went my way. Um, Even though, of course, the analysis hit my break even, which is, pretty fine. It happens. So, um, the trade was overall like a break even. So if you guys took it and held, then shout out to you guys. You guys definitely took part in it. And I ran for we have some sales from all the way from here to here. It did run like more than 2,000 pips for the trade. And I believe on previous calls I was looking at areas in here for sales. I was kind of looking at the plays on Sunday, just because typically around that new weekly candle, it typically brings quite a bit of volatility, and the intention really was clear whenever I seen this overall wick that we were gonna go down to the downside. That was that confirmation that I was looking for that nice institutional move, leading up to the that brand new daily weekly candle for BTC. And I definitely want to continue on taking some sales if we do get anything. Everything's kind of been looking like it just wants to fall off a cliff and continue on selling and leaving our entries behind. That is like your classic BTC. Um, yeah, that's basically like your classic BTC scenarios, which it might even do that. Where I have an area here that I want to take some sales. I had a alert already, waiting for it for the entire day, seeing what it does. Let me see what you guys are seeing inside the chat. Cool. So I definitely want to see some sales. If it does come back up here on the 45-minute time frame. I know we had one in the 1 hour. Looks like it actually came down to that 2 hour. Hmm. Looks like it already came back to that 2 hour time frame, so that could have been the move already for BTC. Actually, did it come? Not quite yet, actually. We're still missing, yeah. So there's a chance that we may come back, or depending on the volume that's being pushed into it right now on this current candle here, it could just continue on falling off. And as far as where it can go to, I definitely see BTC targeting anywhere in this current section here. I'll grab a tool here. So anything in that section for TP wise. If you guys do plan on taking any TP entries for sales, That's kind of where I would want to take some uh targets at TP wise. Yeah. Yeah, because on the overall time frame, it looks like it just wants to just slowly chop our way down. All right, slowly chop our way down, slow die off before we actually just do something like this. It doesn't have to come to that area. It's just more of a hypothetical scenario of what I do see it. But I do definitely see another drop below the previous low that I created around 60,000. So for the time being, definitely be looking for some kind of continuations for BTC, and I believe that should be like that across the board as far as all the main projects. For example, Ethereum and Solana. Those are like the main three trading pairs that I personally look at the most when it comes to taking any leverage or perpetual trades. So, FYI, that's something that you should be looking at when it comes to trading on Jupiter. Even on the right move, on a good 2,000 pip move, you definitely will see some pretty nice rewards coming out of that when it comes to depending on the leverage you guys decide to trade on perpetuals. So that is something that you should be looking at as far as if you guys are already well seasoned. If you guys are brand new into perpetuals, you know, reduce the risk. You don't have to, go absolutely high on the leverage, just so you guys can see what kind of profits or what kind of how it actually works. That's something that is highly recommended. But for now, if you're already well seasoned, of course, the trade at your own risk, and if you trade with higher leverage, then you um already well informed, well knowledgeable if it goes your way and also if it goes against you. So I'll put it that way. On to next thing that I'm seeing for ETH. Can we see BTC tank like aggressively like it did, previously? I think so. I mean, there's not. It's definitely not off the table for BTC. Whether we get a quick selling candle and we kind of recover quite quickly out of those areas, but I do see ETH dropping, below, taking out these lows here, and there's a scenario of which if we do get an aggressive pullback lower, there's a scenario of which Ethereum can get to these areas in here. These levels would be like the max amount of fear in the market where everybody just panicking. You thought we're, everybody that's panicking right now, this would be like the ultimate sweep. That's if the scenario that we are anticipating does that. Maxing out leverage. What's good, Damien? But for the most part, this is a scenario of where I do see it sweeping. Anything lower than that, there's a chance that we maybe see these lows get taken out. And depending on how aggressive we go, yeah, that's just as long as we take these on leverage, then I'm fine. Like if we make profit on leverage, just stack up some more on some way more discounted entries on our favorite arts at these, if we go any lower on BTC. That's why that's why it is that's the beauty behind trading where you can just, take advantage on the selling pressure, take advantage on the sells, whether you guys are trading on CFDs, whether you guys are trading on perpetuals or just regular futures accounts on prop firms. Hopefully it plays out during those hours as open, but for the most parts, you're able to really leverage off of these cells drastically. Yeah, it would absolutely be bonkers where okay, I'm curious, what's the fear and greed? What's the so this is kind of like a question for the chat. What is the most feared event that you guys see happening within now until maybe the end of the first quarter? Something that the news has been saying or has been talking about um recently, whether it's war, whether it's like a civil war, or I mean, that's really what I've been seeing, to be honest. Like a lot of like layoffs that's been happening inside the tech world. I've been seeing that pop up on my news feed. So right now we're at neutral. Oh, actually, extreme fear. We're actually at extreme fear. Um, the reason why I'm anticipating something lower is because I don't want to be biased towards uh, one area where I don't want to feel like like I'm praying that this area is the last area for it to bounce, where it can go to, so make credit supports, and from there, make its way higher. No, because if you think about it, like what was happening during COVID, like a huge pandemic happened, um, and a lot of people were thinking like, this is this is it. I like to look back as far as what was people feeling at that point in time, and try to, of course, make some kind of similarity between then and now. That's one of the biggest things where I like to look at when it comes to like what is the sentiment of the market as far as like what are some current news that are being pushing out to the media, is because yes, we take on leverage plays, but also I want to look at the macro perspective on just the entirety of whether it's like the U.S., the world economics, because everything is all connected with one another in crypto. Whether an exchange goes down, I know there's been a lot of controversial topics. Yeah, so there's like a lot of controversial topics with like Binance um, being the ones to uh, be the one that caused October 10th or so around there, that entire liquidity event that happened in October. There's been talks about that where Binance was the one to uh, cause that, and yeah, there's been a lot of things behind like different exchanges. I know Gemini was going, or like something with Gemini with bad news. I think we did cover it last week, I believe. So yeah, there's been a lot of things happening with like exchanges, maybe even having not much of a good revenue coming in, especially like the smaller ones. Like how are these exchanges profiting the most? Well, it's because with all the fees, the trading fees. That's how they really grow their revenues, is by people buying and selling crypto. So I know Sam Bankman Friedman, was talking about having uh, another a new trial, which is kind of funny. Blockchain.com secures registration UK. That's huge. Follow short analysis and admit Bitcoin dive. Um, Ethereum is testing Ethereum layer 2. So there's like a lot of like pretty much decent news, but I really want to see what's happening. There could be another hack, which is something that is not new inside the space, and especially when it comes to like crypto hacks. You definitely will seeing that like a lot more as we start really seeing more alts progress. So really just just betting on the ones that have been innovating during the bear market. So I would say technically you know bullish conditions. I'll put it that way. Those are the ones that we can kind of stick to and just uh just stack up on. Where do you want to sell? As far as where, please clarify. So with Solana right now, it is really just I mean, we have all this area that we can see it potentially going off to. If it comes back to all the way to 33, that would be crazy. Yeah, with Solana, like I'm just waiting. I'm not really gonna be looking for any kind of buys or any portfolio buys at the moment. I mean, yes, we have all of this huge area here for buys. Good area of here that I'm looking at for Solana, whether it's a perpetual trade, still targeting some of these areas in here for long term. But for the most part, as far as perpetuals, I think I did activate one of my cells. Yeah, same setup has been happening. Yeah, I did activate one of my cells. It was a great opportunity right here. Can we see it retrace back into the area again? I can see that. If Bitcoin decides to come back into our zone, then I do see ETH and Solana make a comeback into one of the areas. So I'll just wait on that, to be honest, because when BTC wants to pull back and other areas and other trades has already been hitting uh in their zones, then I'll just wait for BTC because it's gonna cause everything just to follow it. So I would rather avoid that and just wait and see what Bitcoin wants to do next. Are you good? What do you want to sell BTC? I got you. Yeah, I wanted to sell BTC inside this area here. Um, in that area there. I wanted to sell in that, I believe it was the 45. That's probably like another area that I want to sell into. Look at the 3 hour. Yeah, but can we like the question is, will BTC come back into the area? Because it's been slowly just declining, leaving our zone little by little. If we go down to total one, I think we already did. I think the move has already. Yeah, it looks like I already did the move already. Hmm. Maybe that's probably was really what was enough for it to just drop, makes way lower. Any kind of continuations, I'll just TP in here. Catching any kind of continuation on smart time frames, I will look for that. Because this will be a pretty nice move. Oops. To the downside if you guys catch it. I'm talking about like thousands of pip moves. Yeah, because from current price, actually from go back to BTC, from current price into here, that's a potential over 4,000 pips if you just catch the continuation. So right now I'm just kind of waiting to see what we do on. Let's see. Let's see what how much time is left on this 2 hour. Hmm. Yeah, I personally my solid entry would be just like somewhere inside here, to be honest. And no, it didn't reach that area just yet. It almost did, but not quite yet. So We'll see. I'll definitely be patient on that. Do this, do a short position tool all down there. Is everything kind of making sense for everyone that's on tonight's call? Hmm. Close. So that's basically what I'll be waiting for BTC. And then for let's see here, total one. I'm looking at total three. I haven't looked at total three in a while. Feels like I haven't looked at it. So for total three with all the alts, right? Everything that's excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, I do see this low, this area getting rejected or trading inside the area for total three. I mean, for much like for everything across the board, it's been the exact same scenario on the smart time frames where it's like a small chop way down lower, and whether we say that this is the area, then I do see a scenario of this happening. But that's if that's the scenario of the low that we're looking to see some kind of rejection. But depending on how BTC wants to drop, then we'll adjust to that. But as of now, like I don't have like any like buy limits or anything like that. I'm just trying to, I just want to see how aggressive things get, for Bitcoin. You know, this is kind of that scenario which I'm just waiting for everything just to for Bitcoin to just to like do its thing before anything. Yeah, I mean, even then, like on the higher time frame, like even though we barely poked above $1 trillion in market cap with just alts in general, there's still a lot of room for it to grow. And I was projecting, 2.4 in that area, for all of alts, which is still another big push higher from current price to here. The entire altcoin market cap would have to, nearly do 250% at current price. So we're currently sitting at slightly below $700 billion. $700 billion, which is not a lot. And the current market cap for Bitcoin right now, I'm curious. So the current market cap for BTC is 1.3 trillion. 1.3 right here. So that was basically my zone. Yeah, basically BTC would have to double back in price just to meet that criteria for my target for total three. But where would BTC be at if this was to happen? Then it would definitely be like above, way above all-time highs. So, um, interesting things to kind of really consider. Dominance. I do see a scenario of if we do continue on, Bitcoin decides to, fall off a cliff again, then this will cause Bitcoin dominance just to rise up in here, causing everything just to flush. ETH dominance continue to fall. ETH slash BTC continue to fall. And when it comes to USDT, DT dominance, this is something that was really unexpected for me, just because I was wanting sells in here, but I guess everybody just kind of really just started to panic and sell everything, convert everything to USDT, causing this just shifts or just to move even higher than expected. So uh, I'll just kind of really just wait for like lower time frames just to clear out liquidity before anything. Yes, I did this. Yeah. So basically just waiting for something like this to happen. Wait for that nice liquidity sweep. Interest gonna move up. Clear that. Now we kind of like slowly distribute out of that area, little by little. Does this kind of make more sense for one that's here on the call of what I'm eyeing for market cap USDT dominance? I know this is a fairly brand new chart for some of you, but it's just a nice little indication to represent, the people that are converting their crypto into USD, into stablecoin. So that is kind of a nice little neat chart to look at each time. XRP, I know we're kind of really looking at the lows already, where he swept it. Can XRP really come back and push higher? That is a very good question, because of the previous personalities that it has done, where one full swoop to the upside dies off. Same thing here. And then can this be the same thing, same scenario that happens again before we die off and wait another from these highs here until it popped off 1,000 days from here to here, 1,300 days. That is a lot of time. Let's say we do this again in 2030. That is a far stretch, but I don't know. I mean, that is still a long ways to go. That's still another 4 more years. Don't even want to consider even think about that scenario, but everything's on the table. So with Chainlink, yeah. So basically with Chainlink right now, everything at this current week is just waiting to see what kind of news just happens with the US, or anything that just happens within like crypto overall. So that's kind of really what underlying a lot of my ideas, a lot of my biases, is just waiting to see what kind of major volatility is going to happen with Bitcoin. Like, yes, we're still waiting for some nice perpetual buys long term, but at this current time, uh, I'd rather just focus on perpetual leverage on the short term perspective, and then whenever it's time to hop onto whether it's on Radium, that's my first spot to look at or take the trades on perpetuals, because the max perpetual leverage on Radium is at 20x. XRP is at like at a 50. Litecoin is at a 20x, I believe. AVAX, same thing, 20x. Take out the way, perpetuals. So this is really where I'm be taking all my trades at. Yes, it does says uh you can't really access it because the current you restricted country, since of course I do live in the US, right? Majority of us do. So the best way to have access is just a VPN, and and I personally use the Jupiter wallet or Phantom, whichever one, but the Jupiter wallet is way more faster. So if you have a Solana wallet already on Phantom, just transfer or add your key phrases onto Jupiter wallet, transfer your wallet, and you should be good. So everything it can be deposited into here via USD Solana, USDC Solana. So make sure you guys are depositing using Solana, USDC Solana. All right. So be very careful because if you try to send a USDC, you know, um, of any other network, then most likely you're gonna lose it without, if definitely make sure you guys, use the right network that you guys are using. But Bitcoin 100x, East, Lana, the all three 100x, Jupiter, Chainlink, right? 20x leverage, AVAX 20. What else? XLM 10, Polygon, Filecoin 10x, Litecoin. Litecoin's at 20x. So these are kind of all the trades I'll be taking at. It's pretty much straightforward. I mean, I personally don't really look at the order books in here. Um, I know they've definitely upgraded or added more features on here than before. So that is all you really have to look at is whether you're going to do market execution or limit order. When it comes to this, you can choose the parameters of which you want to use fully the entire 100x, or before you enter the trade, make sure you are able to adjust the leverage to your liking. Whether you have an amount that you want to use, and but you only want to use the 50x leverage, then when you buy into the trade and use 50x leverage, it will calculate your positions before you enter the trade. So, uh, pretty cool. And if you guys are brand new, always use a low leverage, right? Just so you guys can get a good feel of the markets. And if you guys are using a low leverage, we're between a 1 to 10x, I believe. 10x probably being like the most for beginners, but anything lower, you don't have to worry about your position getting liquidated because it gives you a lot of room for it to breathe. I mean, meaning by a lot of room, like probably let's say you enter at let's see, for example, let's say you enter at Chainlink at $8.44, and your liquidation part will be like at $3. Worst case scenario, $3 or even lower than that. So it gives you guys a lot of room for it to breathe. I'm not saying to you guys for you guys to take it right now, but it's just an example. Rather, if you guys decide to trade on 100x leverage, it'll probably give you like maybe less than 1,000 pips a wiggle room on a trade that allows 100x. ETH. I'm curious, when is the news for this week? See here for the news for this week. Tuesday, Wednesday. So we have unemployment rate, unemployment claims, CPI on Friday. You guys been seeing how a lot of the major news kind of typically happens on a Friday after the market for the majority of the market, right? Like for indices, and from there you definitely will see it happen on the gets adjusted on Monday. Jumped on Iran. Huh. Oh, if let's say we go to war, right, or let's say a missile hits a U.S. base or something like that, somewhere in that nature, then that would definitely cause Bitcoin to tank drastically. Or let's say we should have missed out to Iran, whatever. That news coverage can definitely cause the market to tank drastically. So that could definitely be another example of what we've seen in the past that just caused everything just to collapse as far as like all the main cryptos. Let's see here. Let's see AVAX. So with AVAX been looking a lot more cleaner. This is a very standard textbook play that is happening currently on AVAX. We have a nice swivel liquidity. Market swept it already. We're currently inside of an imbalance right now. Uh, Lower time frames. Same thing with the rest of the market. I would rather see these lows get taken out here, and it's just like this, and work your way lower. Create that first bottom, second bottom, third bottom, then the buys. Some more opportunities will present itself as far as like buys. So this is like your accumulation schematic that I would want to see happen. This is making more sense for when that's on the call for AVAX. I mean, this is like a legit portfolio idea. If you guys are like wondering, like about AVAX, this is legit a portfolio idea. This is something that is definitely well slept on. And if you guys were a part of some training sessions with Mike Sotero, he's definitely talked about AVAX a lot. And since right now it's currently sitting around $8.78. What's good, Neri? Everyone welcome Neri inside the chat. The one and only Neri Banks. She's on here on tonight's session. So when it comes to AVAX, this is a legit portfolio idea. The area that I'm targeting, I'm really looking at the most. It's $84. So this would be a $8 and 42, about a 9x TP. This is something that I'm really looking at, and let's say we decide to do even more way better than that, then um, that is still too soon to tell. If we decide to go past these areas here, just because there's not really much enough data for me to create. Because I really want to find the low. I mean, 300. Hmm, that could be a scenario. What I mean by legit is, it makes sense where it is like your usual setup, textbook setup when it comes to like liquidity, sweep, which I already did. Now we're waiting for that lower time frame accumulation. Anything lower than this, then of course, like I said, Bitcoin would have to drop down to like 45 just to see new lows for AVAX in history. Yeah, I mean, AVAX would have to go below $4 or in that area, maybe to that candle, but I AVAX looks a lot more structural, has more better structure than Chainlink, in my personal opinion. Because you guys can see, like, all right, cool, imbalance filled already, liquidity sweep here. What it like all we already needed just a smaller time frame accumulation to happen to really get the bigger picture, really. So that's kind of my bias on AVAX, and I will be adding this into the portfolio. So I have Chainlink, Dog, ICP, Jupiter, Filecoin, and some other riskier plays that I have. But majority of my portfolio is Chainlink. So let me see here. If you guys have any more questions, let me know inside the chat box. Uh, while I continue on scanning the market. So with dog, I'm still waiting on that. ICP. So a lot of these charts don't really look as appealing, but I don't know. AVAX has much more of a better textbook setup than anything else. Filecoin experiencing new lows. I told a couple people inside the conference like the reason why I'm not really buying or adding more into Filecoin or any more of the other coins is because I want to see strength coming into the market, more volume in the market to give me a better confirmation that we're that it's time to go bullish. Because you even buy right now, like who knows, we'll probably even go, it's slightly more lower, but I'd rather see strength come in and wait then and buy then. So Litecoin, Neurogum Queen. I actually have the extra strength Neurogum. I take like two of them before the gym. Plus the pre-workout. That thing gets you wired. So if you guys, ever wants to be absolutely locked into the gym, take a dry scoop pre-workouts and take two Neurogums. The extra strength mint taste. So with Litecoin, the more I see this, whoa, there we go. The more I see this, like the a very likely chance that this can happen. 22 a pop for a Litecoin. And this will be like my TP. That'll be a 7 point, yeah, probably like a 7.5 X on your money potentially for Litecoin. And anything higher than that, then we'll see. Definitely will send these out inside the chat on the macro. On these are just like more of a macro perspective of worst case scenario. Like even right now, like if Litecoin to drop that low, it would need to drop another 57%, almost 60. That's pretty much a huge drop already. So we'll see. I mean, this is just give you guys more of a longer time just to stack up on your favorite assets. Really, that's kind of really like the best way to put it. And the ones that do perform the most this cycle, I do see a lot of institutional money being flowing into like the layer ones, with all the real assets. I know like the layer twos will definitely see some returns, but not as well as layer ones. The layer twos will depend on the ones that have a lot of partnerships and has a lot of use case that really back up the layer ones. Then those are the ones that see some kind of a growth along with it. But you know, we'll see. We'll see on how this next wave in all season gonna run. But for the most part, that is it for myself for tonight's session. Hope you guys have a blessed and wonderful night. And yeah, make sure you guys ask questions to the chats with for anything. And I hope to see you guys on to the next event that we'll be having on the cruise ship. So definitely look at your chats for more details, and I can't wait to see you guys on the cruise at the traders lock-in. So without further ado, hope you guys have a blessed and wonderful night, and I'll see you guys next time. Let's get it.